So today we're going to have a walkthrough on how to put together your Be Wild indoor climbing frame. So you should have received 2 side frames, 4 feet, 2 locking star screws, 24 screws for the rungs, an Allen key, 4 wood screws for the feet and 12 rungs. So for this stage we're going to take one of the side frames, 12 rungs and 12 screws, and we're just going to insert or partially insert the screws onto the outside of the frame, which can be identified where the Be Wild logo is. So if we just do it, personally I just do it by hand, just do them in a bit. So once we've inserted all 12 screws just by hand, it just makes it a bit easier for when we put the rungs in and we can align them into the recess holes here. So I personally start with the bottom row, just makes it a little bit easier. Just place the rung within the recessed hole, take your Allen key and just do up each screw. So what we want to do here is do them up so they're tight enough so the rung doesn't spin once it is tight, but not so tight so that it cracks the wood or the frame in particular. So we'll just go ahead and just do all of those now. So once we've done the bottom row, what we're going to do is just do the exact same for the top row. It might be easier just to flip the frame over so you can hold the rungs in, or whichever way you prefer really. But I'll just get this done now and then we'll move on to the next stage. So now we've done tightening up all the screws on this one side, we're just going to do the same process for the other side. So I'll spin the frame round. Just going to take the other side frame, again 12 screws, I just put them in by hand, and we're just going to do the same process, line them up with the recess holes and just tighten them all up. So from personal experience here, what I'd recommend is screwing them in maybe 90% of the way, because what you'll find is they'll start binding as the rungs have to align with the recess holes. If you over tighten too early, you won't be able to slide these ones in. So I'd do the screws up all 90%, make sure all the rungs are lined up with the recess holes, and then just go along and tighten them up 100%. So for the final stage, we're just going to take our 4 feet and align them into the cutout holes in the bottom of the frame. They can be a bit tight, it's just to make sure that they're a good fit really. So we'll slide those in now. Then once we've done that, you'll see that there are some recessed holes in the bottom, which will just align with the wood screws you get in the pack. Insert those and then either use a screwdriver or a drill and do those up. For the purposes of this video I'll be using a drill, but just make sure you're not over tightening these again as to strip the threads. So once we've done up these screws, we can open the frame. I'm just going to check that it sits square, which in most cases it won't due to the nature of the wood. So as you can see here, the frame rocks. So what we're going to do is just take the locking star screws and insert them into the side of the frame, just to make sure the frame is locked open. What you will note when doing these up is that the screws will go in easily to begin with, then slowly get tighter. This is a safety feature, so that they're anti-vibration screws so they don't come undone whilst the frame is in use. So we're just going to take note of which feet are in constant contact with the floor. In this case I can see that this foot and the far foot in that corner are in constant contact with the floor. So we're going to need to try and straighten the frame. So what we're going to do is just take a few books, maybe like 2 or 3 inches thick, and we're going to place it under one of the feet that's in constant contact with the floor. Now once the frame's like this, we're going to apply pressure to the top and push down, and you might hear the frame creak, which is obviously just the wood straightening out. So I'm just going to do that now. So once we've done that, we can just check, and in this case we can see the frame now sits flat. If after doing that process you find the frame is still not sitting flat, just repeat the process on the other side, on each corner maybe, and you'll find that the frame will straighten out. So once it's sitting flat, that is your indoor climbing frame ready to use.